Greetings and salutations, everybody. This is Jason Bitbender Brink, and I am here with John, who is behind Grit, which is one of my favorite games and most eagerly anticipated thing for me personally coming up here. And we also have Sal, who is one of the PMs behind running Grit on our side. So, how you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Doing great.
Awesome.
Really excited to be here. This is probably, like you said, my probably most excited about this game. It's my favorite genre. Can't wait.
I know, right? My head is giant on here today. Goodness, I feel like I need to like
Back up.
move back a little bit.
It,
Um,
it's not just today though.
it's Sal. Anyway, um, before we dive in here, this is gonna be an AMA. We're gonna be talking to the community. We're gonna be in our Discord at galagames.chat. You're all welcome to jump in. I highly recommend you go to the Here and Now general chat channel in our Discord, and that's where we'll be taking questions. But before we do that, do you guys mind if I like have a little tiny digression here for a second? Is that cool with you guys? Okay, so I just wanted to like right now, it's an absolute bloodbath out there in the blockchain space. It's one of those days where you wake up and you look and everything is red and people are getting very, very upset and worried about things. And I get it. I totally understand. I've been through many of these in the blockchain space. There are always these little crypto winter moments where everything looks like it's melting down. We saw it, a few times early. We saw it at the end of the ICO sort of era when everything crashed and melted down for, it's almost a year actually. Actually, maybe even a little bit longer. But, we've seen this many, many times. And I know there's a lot of fear and uncertainty and doubt about everything going on at the time. But what I want to say is that one of the key things that we've done here at Gala is we have built this entire company specifically to weather this sort of thing. Okay, so it doesn't matter what happens in the market. It doesn't matter what happens to the tokens. We're going to keep working and we're going to keep releasing games with our partners. So that's not a thing that you guys need to worry about. So we're definitely here. We're here for the long haul with all of you. And yeah, I just wanted to say that. So no stress. Everything's going to be okay. Take a deep breath. If you can't look at the numbers, walk away for a little bit. Go outside, take a walk, hang out with your family. You don't stress about this. But let's talk about video games and why Sal keeps flickering back and forth. You keep glitching out. It's kind of weird. Anyway, guys, is there anything that you would like to say about anything before we get started and just diving in and talking to people?
Well, I'm excited personally to talk about the game, so I'm ready for that whenever.
I'm super excited too.
From a crypto winter perspective, I see that as a buying opportunity. So,
oh yeah, everything's on sale. This is fantastic. I mean, every one of the biggest companies in the world, for the most part, has been founded during one of these slumps. It's the difficult market conditions, and it's the learning how to operate within interesting constraints that makes a fantastic company. I mean, this is where Disney came from too, right? Right out of the Great Depression. So we're here to do awesome stuff. But yeah, tell me about Grit, John.
So, Grit is a kind of a culmination of a lot of years of work of us trying to make the Western game that everybody wants to play. I mean, that's the general direction is how can we make a really cool Old West game, highlight the things in the game that are cool about the Old West, like, robbing trains and riding around on horses and gunfights and, drinking snake oil and all of the great things that happen in the Old West. And I say that Grit is it's a fantasy world inspired by the Old West. It's not We're not literally trying to be in the exact Old West. We're trying to take the cool elements of Old West movies and turn them into a video game.
Yeah, I look at Grit, and I've only had the privilege to play it a few times, but every single time I've played it, I have absolutely freaking loved it. It's incredible. You guys have done a fantastic job of making something super, super fun. I see it almost as like an interesting mix of like Red Dead Redemption plus PUBG plus the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, you know, all sort of mixed up together into this this awesomely flavorful, cool mash.
And the reality is, you know, what the game actually is defined by what do the individual team members on the team bring to the game? What ideas do they have? The Buster Scruggs stuff, I think, is a really interesting call out because we do have a lot of humorous Old West type tropes in the game.
Right.
In particular, I would call out some of the names for things like the armor, like, you know, the Tin Horn Poncholito, which is all, you know, one of the guys on our team is just fantastic at naming stuff that's funny and that kind of works with the Old West. So I love that element of it for sure. PUBG, definitely, you know, that was a big inspiration for the game. I would say that the roots of this game are more in the simulation side than they are in the fast action side. You know, more PUBG less Apex, although obviously there's lots of influences in the game. Little bit of this, a little bit of that, mix it in with the magic broom.
I love it.
Personally have had a ton of fun working on things like the horses and the trains and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
There's like a train robbery game mode, right?
Yeah, it's called the train chase. So it's more about trying to how do we bring train interaction into an actual game mode. So in that mode, the train becomes a center of attention because the calamity that's shrinking in the game basically shrinks around the train as the train moves around the map. And trains,
so you have to struggle to keep up with the train.
You have to struggle to keep up with it, or you have to get on it, or you have to try to control it. There's quite a few mechanics in the game to control trains. So you can flip train switches and things like that and try to manipulate the direction of the train to be more advantageous for your group to win.
Awesome. Well, shall we dive in and answer a couple questions? And I'm sure that this will lead to more conversation.
Do we want to go show the video first?
Yeah, we can show a video, sure, and go for it. I think it's a decently long video, so I think, John, you have some commentary to go with it.
Yeah, I'll kind of try to give people some context. It does move pretty quickly because we tried to kind of jam in a bunch of stuff. So let's just try it and see what happens.
Awesome, sounds good. Matt, take it away.
So every game you play, you get different wild cards. That was kind of that first scene, so we can talk about some of those later. You parachute into the map. This is what the map screen looks like in the game that shows you the different wild cards. Looting, you can see that things are highlighted. You get information from the color when things are highlighted on the ground, so you can kind of have some idea of what you're picking up. That was the inventory screen where you get all your perks are set up. This is just a quick example of the death cart and being able to kind of spend your coins in game and buy different loadouts and things like that. Obviously, all of the Old West weapons are represented. Headshots are an important element of the game that we're kind of showing off here. Your hat is basically like your helmet, so if you lose it, you know, headshots are going to hurt quite a bit more. Different ways of getting up onto the train. We really tried to make it easy to get up on there. The train is a special part of the game, so there's things like loot boxes on there and controls where you can get it moving in different directions. I mean, we could spend an hour just talking about the train mechanics in this game, to be honest. It's a lot of fun to ride around on the trains and try to argue about which direction they're going to go through all the track branches. Horses are a massive part of the game. So a little example of kind of riding across some of our more green areas. But we've really put a ridiculous amount of work into trying to, you know, get the horse animations worked out, get the locomotion model worked out, all that kind of stuff. Being able to jump off of horses onto trains, which you just saw there. And then, of course, when you get into a squad where you're riding across with your posse and getting into big battles with other groups of people riding horses is a really fantastic like unique as far as I can tell gameplay mode. So here we're just kind of running through some of the different, how do I heal? How do I get people up? What is sniping like? What are some of the different weapons like? This is the underworld that you just saw there. I mean, we really just tried to pack in a lot of information into this video so that if we wanted to discuss any particular element of it, that we could, go back and maybe look at a specific sequence or something. Rapid fire weapons are another piece of it, which, believe it or not, is actually an Old West thing. Like, there are people that can shoot those guns really, really, really fast.
It's crazy. I've seen that a few times.
I mean, we based it off of
blowing.
real animations of real videos that we found of people, firing repeating rifles at insanely high rates and things like that.
I love it, man. It's super fun. That scene of the fort. I'm pretty sure it was you that killed me in the fort at one point in time.
I do like to drop there, so yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. It was a really rough headshot, and I died, and I was sad.
Yeah, I was sorry about that. The problem is I can't always tell who I'm playing against. If I'd known it was you, I would have went easier on you. But
yeah. No, it's okay. It's totally fine. Everyone knows I suck at games, so that's why I do the blockchain side of things, not the game side. Okay, so I've got a couple questions that people have. First, somebody has asked Robin, or no, not Robin. Where did it go? Crap. Oh, Rozzy. When will Grit go to a founders node vote? Do we have any idea, Sal? Is that a question we want to answer?
That will start tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific.
There you go. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific. And Rozzy also asked another question. He says, why are Gala funds being allocated for Grit before it goes to a founders node vote? There are funds. We can allocate them as we choose. We may or may not get reimbursed for them later. We'll see about that, but they're definitely this is how this goes. We need to pay people to bring games in and build the ecosystem out. And so, yeah, not everything is going to go to a node vote right away. Jimmy from Canada definitely likes the video. AAA title for sure. How does the multiplayer mechanic work? He would like to know.
So, I mean, the basics are you get in the game, you shoot everybody else in the face, and then whoever's left standing wins the game. That's
simple,
simple,
elegant,
describe it.
Elegant. Lots of face shooting.
There's quite a few different mechanics, but ultimately you do want to be the last one standing in the game to win. So that's the primary mechanic. And there's different ways of having the map shrink. There's the train chase. There's the golden horse. There's what we call the Crown of Coronado, which is a mode where there's a special hat that actually controls the zone and gives you special powers. There's quite a few different kind of modes mixed in there, but fundamentally you're trying to win that round. Rounds are all constrained in terms of time, right? Eventually the zones, the calamity as we call it, the sandstorm, that will shrink to the point where you're forced to end the game, typically after a little over 20 minutes.
And the modes, right, John, are decided by the wild cards, right?
Yeah. So basically, you every match we flip over a number of cards, and those define the match parameters. How long is the underworld available to basically be able to not die right away if you get killed? What kind of zone closure is it? Is it a train chase, or is it a normal kind of calamity? What's the status of the buy stations and that kind of stuff? Those are all things that kind of are controlled by these cards. And there's technical reasons why we went that direction. A big part of it is just to be able to allow players to get into a variety of game modes without necessarily having to create a bunch of like options and queues and things like that split up the community.
Right. I dig that, man. It sounds super, super, super cool. Somebody had asked about okay, so this is from Le Faust, I believe. And if there's something here you can't answer, that's fine. Just say you can't answer it or ignore me, and I'll pretend like
I'll just make
you're
Sal answer.
deaf? Make Sal answer it. Okay. So LeFaust says, I saw Grit was announced in Steam. Okay, given the fact that Steam is 100% anti-crypto, what was it like to take the decision to leave that and go in this new direction?
It was a very difficult kind of call to make, but ultimately, we're believers in kind of a new ecosystem, and if Valve doesn't want to kind of allow that type of ecosystem, then we don't really have much of a choice, do we?
Right. This is the future, man. This is
Yeah.
where it's going.
So, I mean, in some ways, it's difficult to forsake Steam. Obviously, they're a big gorilla in the gaming space.
Yeah.
But, it's the internet. You can download games from somewhere else if you need to.
That is the truth. For me, it's really interesting because I've been a big supporter of Steam and Valve since like there was a Steam and a Valve. I remember when it first launched and probably being one of the first users on the platform. And for me, it was really sad to see them take such a hard line against something that is to me such an obvious win for gamers. The ability to own your gameplay and own things. It's just an interesting thing. Okay. Robin577 would like to know when Grit is planned to come out, but I don't know that we're ready to release that, or are we? I don't actually know.
I don't think we're ready to give a solid. Oh, Salvador.
Oh, Sal left. We lost Sal.
I can't answer this question. I got to go. I don't know.
Can you switch us to a 2-up, Matt? Hopefully.
So
Matt
regardless, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think we can actually answer that question quite yet.
Okay, that's totally fair.
The game is very playable now. Obviously, with moving the game off of Steam, like you were talking about in the previous question, we have some technical work to do to make all that happen. And so, not a long time, but I don't think we're ready to commit to a solid date yet.
There we go. Okay, now we have the two very large oval heads.
Except the name is wrong because he's got.
Yeah, you're gonna have to fix that name there. And if Matt or if Sal comes back, Matt, don't readmit. Otherwise, it's gonna just mess this up. He can catch up later. I think he's having internet issues. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, one of the things that really was important for me is the playability of the game and the replayability of the game. A lot of times, you play a game and you're like, oh yeah, that was fun, and then it's kind of samey. I played Grit for quite a while, and it blew my mind with how much fun and unique and interesting, how fun and unique and interesting it was.
Well,
Absolutely cool.
The video, how many different things there are, right? There's horse riding and horse combat, and you could almost make a game. I mean, you could argue some games.
You totally could.
And then you got all the train stuff, and then the exploration of the map. I also think it's very important with this kind of game to make sure that you keep it evolving, right? Like, what are the mechanisms in the game to continue to be able to add content? We see the map as a living place that will evolve. And, even if you saw the game 2 months ago and today, there's major areas of the map that are different or have been updated. We're constantly going in and kind of remaking and expanding, as well as on the weapons side. I mean, there's 21 different weapons in the game, but that doesn't really tell the whole story because those 21 weapons come in about 20 different variations each, because every weapon is represented as a card, and each card has a suit, and the suit factors into what perks are you getting when you have that weapon enabled, which we could talk about. And also, what is the rank of the card rank of that weapon? We generally rank them from 10 Jack, Queen, King, Ace. And we could go into details on it, but effectively there's a distribution curve within the actual loot inside the game where, the middle of the road queen kind of weapons will be the most common, aces are less common, tens are less common. and they actually do vary across quite a different number of axes of goodness. So for example, if you have the ace sharps brass, that ace has a specific scope on it, the von Braun scope, that appears on no other weapon in the game. So we change up attachments, we change up everything potentially on a weapon. Reload rates, fire rates, damage, everything can change based on the rank.
Nice. I like it. I like it. And I just want to address Rozzy again here for a second. Rozzy, node votes are about things that use node resources. That's why we have node votes. And if they use governance resources or node resources, as in, are they deployed across your nodes? Is your node hosting any content? If it's not using any of your resources and it's not using any funds that are from governance, then there isn't a vote. Just to be very clear on that. That's what the nodes control. So I just want to be super, super clear. Okay. Happy Valley Beacon talks about seeing a interesting view, awesome view of the grit room in the Maltaverse. Well, Gallaverse Malta. Maltaverse? Is that what we're calling it now? So yeah, it's super, super, super fun. I think you guys are really gonna, the people who are fortunate enough to come to Gallaverse in Malta, I think are really gonna like this.
That's really, I mean, that's exclusive. I mean, I've been involved
super exclusive, yeah,
on the sidelines of some of the conversations about that, and what they have planned is kind of mind-blowing, to be honest.
The funny thing is I don't even know. Nobody tells me anything about Gallaverse
I
until
only
they get
know a
there.
little bit about the grit stuff.
Right. No, I never, like last time for Gallaverse, I showed up and was blown away because the only thing that I had seen was one like fly through video once. And then I got there and I was just like, this is magical. Okay, let's
the
see.
swag is going to be pretty cool too.
The swag was absolutely next level. I used the bottle that's like a really, really nice thermos bottle that was in the backpacks last time. Use that all the time.
I've definitely seen some of the grit swag that we're doing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. How do you see NFTs fitting into the game? What are some thoughts on that? Now, again, before you answer this question, I just would like to remind everyone that right now, any sort of discussion around NFTs or tokenomics or economy or play to earn or any of that is at this point in time tentative and may and probably will change. So don't like lock it in as gospel. This could totally change. But do you have any thoughts around NFT usage in the game?
From the super high level, right? Your character can be an NFT.
Okay.
Your horse can be an NFT. Your weapon can be an NFT.
Okay.
And I think we've integrated, or at least what we're doing to integrate it is basically make it core to the game, right? You go and select which character are you playing, and what weapons am I bringing into the game with me, and all that kind of stuff that are from your list of items that you own. So that's the basics, but there's going to be a lot of different really cool characters. We have crazy amount of content that we're creating.
Yeah, the maps that I've seen have been like insane.
Yeah, the maps, the horses, the characters, everything. Like, there's going to be a lot of variety.
I absolutely love it, man. Let's see here. Roy would like to know, will there be machine guns?
So sort of. There is not currently what you would call a machine gun in the sense that it is an automatic weapon in the real world. Like, if you go back and you look at what were the first machine guns, obviously there's things like Gatling guns, and if you get into the 1890s, you start to get into maybe some real machine guns. But they didn't really fit in with the game. I'd love to maybe see some of that stuff appear in the future. But what we do have is we have weapons that effectively act like machine guns. And so the classic example in the game of that would be the Cavalier. So the Cavalier has two fire modes. It has like kind of a slow fire single shot mode, and it has a rapid fire mode. And the rapid fire mode is pretty rapid, and it's based on this idea that if you're playing a character in the Old West, you're not playing like Farmer Joe who doesn't know how to shoot a gun really well. You're playing a gunfighter.
Gunfighter. You're a gunfighter.
You know how to operate these weapons well. So when we were doing our historical research, we found a bunch of videos of modern day guys shooting these old weapons, specifically, Winchester repeater style weapons and things like that. Which
the lever actions.
Those are lever actions where they can basically shoot really fast. So we let you do that in the game. There are some weapons that effectively are like automatic weapons, like the Cavalier. Another good example is if you look at the Old West, they've got guns where they will hit the hammer, right? So just basically like hold the trigger down and hit the hammer with your hand. So that's actually also a mode that you can fire some of the pistols in. So
interesting.
Think about it like you have a choice between, okay, I've got my 6-shooter individual shots. You can still shoot it quite quickly just by clicking. Or if you put it in what we call fan fire mode, it'll basically unload the entire cylinder of bullets super quickly, almost like a machine gun. So we're trying to create weapons that are exciting and fun to use and that offer the capability of doing a lot of damage quickly through the lens of trying to keep it reasonably authentic as far as the Old West goes.
Okay. There's a lot of people who would like to know about playtests. Do you have any plans for playtests?
I don't know that we have plans that we can speak to.
There will be playtests though.
But there will be playtests for sure.
Obviously there will be playtests.
I mean, obviously we do our own internal testing now, and I would expect that to open up to more people over time.
Yes, for sure. Definitely. And when there is a playtest, this is a game that I am going to jump in and play the ever living hell out of. So there will absolutely be a playtest, but we can't go into dates just yet.
I'm not in production, so I'm more like on the making the game side. So I don't do dates anyway.
No, I have so much going on. It's hard for me to I don't even know what day of the week it is, let alone all I know is that I have to spend the next 3 weeks traveling. It's a nightmare. Okay, let's see here. They want NFTs. They want information on releasing on other platforms, which I don't think we're going to go into right now. Outfits and customizable characters, owning towns, land. Any of those sound interesting to you?
All of that sounds interesting. I don't know that we can comment on it too much. I mean, I can speculate, but we do.
If you would like, I can speculate because I am speculating literally from a position of knowing no things. So
go ahead and speculate. I mean, there's a lot of different elements of the game. We do have a lot of towns, right? So it would be
have a lot of towns, have a lot of
branches.
People want to own houses. I think that would be, and this is something that has never been discussed by us or by you. This is me just throwing things at the wall and seeing if they fit. Having your own town or your own house is very much could potentially be an interesting node prospect at some point in time in the future. How many developers do you guys have on your team? Roy is curious.
It's around 30 right now.
30? Okay.
Yeah, it's in that ballpark.
Are guns automatic reloads or manual? I think it's
you gotta hit.
You have to reload. Yeah.
So this goes back to the kind of philosophy of the game, which is kind of coming from the semi side, right? So we can talk a little bit more about the weapon mechanics. So R to reload, weapons do not by default come loaded, right? You got to pick up a weapon, pick up ammo, you have to load it. There is basically simulated math happening for all the bullets in the game. So there's bullet drop and wind resistance and all that kind of stuff. So if you're sniping somebody from a distance, you have to take some of that stuff into account.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not like the PUBG laser beam from 14 miles away.
There's no hit scan weapons at all. It's all simulated bullets.
Okay, nice,
this
good.
size cross section bullet going, this fast, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Because that was always my one of my problems with PUBG, other than the fact that I'm a terrible player, is the fact that I would always get sniped from the other side of the universe while I am crawling through the grass, holding the one gun attachment that I have found, trying not to die.
Put it
That's
this
all
way:
he
the
said.
sniping is hard enough. I've considered making it easier.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That hard, because I wouldn't mind like pushing the engagement ranges out even further than what they are now. Like you can certainly snipe someone at a few hundred meters, but it would be interesting to be able to do it even further.
Interesting.
That's an active area that the balance team has kind of been looking at, is how do we push the engagement distances out a little bit further in certain cases.
Side LG would like to know if you and I are the same person.
We're not the same person.
Yeah, not actually the same person. I know it just looks like that.
Unless you're talking about like middle-aged game nerds, in which case I guess we're all the same person.
Yeah, there you go. That is the truth. Yeah, Ronan, 14-mile laser through grass that isn't rendered on the other side of the universe. Terrible. Will it be on Android or iOS? I don't think so, right? This does not.
I mean, there's nothing that would preclude us from doing that at some point in the future, but certainly not in any kind of imminent plan. The engine is on Unreal Engine.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Can we use TNT? I think that's a yes, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I tried to dynamite somebody.
Yeah, there's dynamite. There's smoke grenades. I have aspirations to put even more explosives in the game as well, but they're in there now.
Everybody loves explosives. Everybody.
And it's the kind of thing where you can light the fuse on the dynamite, and then like if you don't throw it, it will just explode in your hand. So don't do that.
That is really an unfortunate outcome. It's really an unfortunate
unless you're trying to do that. Sometimes it's useful.
So funny, tiny bit of family history. My great grandparents, both of them were one-armed because they each lost an arm in a mining explosion. So
that sucks.
Like, they had two arms between them. It was terrible.
I think the lesson there is play with the dynamite in the game, not in real life.
Not in real life, right? Will there be dogs? People like dogs.
There's currently no animals in the game other than the horses. But it is definitely an area that we've been discussing as something that would be fun. Cattle as well would be kind of cool. Imagine being able to like ride a bull or something.
It would be interesting to have a in Spider Tank's another game that you have probably seen on our platform, and I know everybody listening to this has probably played. There is a collect the chickens mode. It would be really interesting to do like a cattle rustling mode.
Cattle rustling or even hunting.
Yeah,
right?
that would be really, really cool. But I can imagine like 30 people fighting to see who can get the most cows into a corral or something like that. That would be super fun. What can we expect from Grit at Galaverse Malta? Is it going to be part of the epicness? Yes.
Yeah, it is.
But we can't tell you anything about it right now.
I don't think either one of us knows that much anyway. But it's going to be there, and it's going to be a big part of it.
We look the same, and we have equal amounts of ignorance regarding this. So, what is so eJoy has a question. Just read the proposal. What is a non-generative NFT? So a generative NFT would be something like Vox, right? Vox has, different components. It's brought together out of a bunch of different pieces. A non-generative NFT is like land or a weapon or something like that, where there's, multiples of the same thing.
Yeah, like a weapon skin. Right, that everyone has the same skin would be non-generative.
Exactly.
If you're getting a generative, it's going to be unique. That's
right. Let's see. Is this going to be an arena type game or like a role-playing game?
I mean, if you're making me choose between the two, I would say it's a large arena role-playing game.
Look, not helpful.
I mean, the map is kilometers across, so it's not really what I would call an arena game, but sometimes terminology gets confusing.
Terminology does well, especially I read this and I thought they were asking about rocket propelled grenades. Sorry about Orduck Maniac. I'm like, no, there's not going to be any RPGs. No RPGs. There were 0 Wild West RPGs.
Unless you get the bamboo tube with, you know, stuff some gunpowder in there and like a
Oh, there you go.
I don't know, who knows.
That's great. Boney Chill asks about the underworld. What is the underworld?
So the underworld is the place where if the game mode is enabled that has the underworld turned on, you basically there's an underlying theme in the game, okay, of this underworld that is underneath the world, and the death carts, which you kind of saw briefly, which are the buy stations where you're making a deal with somebody, also kind of is reflective in the underworld. So everybody, and this is current stuff, it could change a little bit, but everybody when they spawn gets a certain number of soul coins. And if the underworld is turned on, it will subtract a certain number of soul coins from your inventory before it throws your inventory on the ground for other people to pick over. And that's your charge for entering the underworld. And in the underworld, you basically will go one-on-one with someone else that's in the underworld. And whoever is victorious then gets to emerge from the underworld back into the game. And the person that is not victorious, well, I don't think anything good happens to them, but they don't get back in the game either.
Fascinating.
And
does
the underworld is a totally different vibe, a totally different place within the game.
So if we're looking at this as like a battle royale, is there a point in time where you have like 2 players that are still playing, and then one of them dies and goes to the underworld to fight the number 3 player, and then one of them reemerges? Like, can this cycle that way, or
probably not? Because okay. So generally speaking, the underworld either shuts off, either it's not on, which could happen, or it shuts off maybe fairly quickly, like in the first few minutes.
Okay.
Or it goes further into the game. And if it goes further into the game, it's still not, there's still a cutoff for like minimum number of teams and players.
Okay.
Now,
cool. So it's not
when we're playtesting in debugging mode, we'll permanently turn it on up until the end. And in that kind of case, you could get the situation that you described.
That little loop at the end.
Yeah, but you can only enter the underworld. Remember, if you have the soul coins to do it, right?
Oh, gotcha.
So that would put a limit on it as well, because you don't come back with any soul coins. You could go loot some potentially, but
nice. People are asking whether you can jump on the train with a horse.
Yes,
you can. There you go. Yep. Answered. Can the train derail?
Train does not currently derail. Kind of fun to do that though.
It would be fun.
We've speculated a lot about what that would be like, or what would be the right way to do that. Put it that way.
I like the train going off a cliff, like Wild West, trestle bridge out, train sailing into nothingness. That one seems kind of fun.
So one of the train mechanics is basically the train switches that sit beside the track. You can run up to them and hit use and flip the switch back and forth, right? Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Okay. You can also shoot the switch. And this, so if you're on the train and you're riding the train, you can kind of scope down the track, see the switch, spot it, shoot it, flip it, right?
Okay.
The thing is about the train switches is when they're moving, so if it's locked in one position, say it's locked to go right, and I shoot it, it starts an animation where it will start to turn, and it doesn't actually switch to going, say, left until it's turned all the way around and locked in.
Okay.
So if you shoot it and you start it moving, and then I shoot it, it will start moving back. And then you could shoot it and it will start moving again. And you can literally fight over it. And it will just be in whatever, it'll be indeterminate. It'll just be locked in whatever position it was in that it fully locked to last. So there's a mechanic in there to try to like get people to interact over that. So now imagine your situation where you're like, hey, what if you had tracks that went into the canyon, shades of Back to the Future Part 3, which by the way is a huge influence on this game in many ways.
There you go.
That would be pretty sweet. So you can imagine a situation where the track ends and like you don't want to go down that branch. That's not currently in the game. All the switch stuff is, but the branch to nowhere is
interesting.
It sounds interesting. Like
I like that. Roy Plummer asks, will there be any leaks at Galaverse Malta? Come on, Roy. You know what Galaverse is about. Yes, there will be leaks.
Yeah,
there will be.
Is it even a leak?
Buckets of
Is that
leaks.
Galaverse, or is it
It's not
like
even a.
official
It's
information
well.
that
I mean,
leaked
it
to be a
depends
leak?
on whether or not Jesse is there at Galaverse Cornwall. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the real location of Galaverse in Cornwall, where we're sending the lawyer. Hopefully he enjoys his time at Galaverse Cornwall and prevents all the leaks from happening there. Can you go inside the train? Is that a thing that
Yeah,
can happen?
absolutely. Yeah, the trains. So I mean, they're kind of set up for fighting, right? But
Sure.
yeah, you can. They're so the train cars are kind of open at each end. But yeah, you can go in. You can go on top. You can go into the train engine and stop the train and make it
Okay.
go faster. So you can literally just stop the thing on the tracks if you want to.
Okay, there you go.
I mean, I'm nerdy like that, so I wrote a lot of the train system code myself because I really enjoy that kind of thing. So there's actually a whole train controller that if a train stops and there's a train behind it, it will also stop. And
Oh,
when
nice.
it merges, they'll like reserve the track so that everything flows smoothly and all that. So it's a whole train set in there basically.
I absolutely love that, man. Do the guns have recoil?
Yep.
Okay,
Multiple
there you go,
different kinds.
Lloyd. Just for you. Are there? I'm guessing. I'm gonna add tomahawks. Do tomahawks and melee weapons exist?
Yep.
Okay.
Sickles, axes, knives.
Sickles. Will this eventually be Mac compatible? That is from Exploric.
I don't think that that's something we would commit to, but there's no theoretical reason why it wouldn't run on a Mac if we compiled it for that.
Okay, there you go. Can we talk about customizations? What are the options?
We can talk a little bit about it. I mean,
Sure.
Everything pretty much that you have, like which character you're playing, what your hat is, all the weapon skins for every single weapon in the game, all the guns, all the melee weapons, horses, things like your identity to other players, badges, all that kind of stuff is all customizable.
Nice. That sounds fantastic. I'm super excited about this game, man. Absolutely delighted. And for those of you who are just joining us, I am Jason Bitbender Brink, and this is John Mavor. Is that how you say it? Maver?
I had to go Maver. Yeah.
Maver, John Maver. And we're talking about Grit. You can join in at galagames.chat in the Here and Now general chat channel. So that is our Discord. So come hop in and say hi. Do horses die, or are they bulletproof?
Yeah,
Horses die.
I mean, I have a whole
Oh,
speech about horses. So because
talk about horses. Let's hear about horses. People love horses.
So when you get on a horse in Grit, so when you drop in, you're not dropping in with your horse. Or maybe,
well, I mean,
maybe
it's
are
hard
you?
to parachute a horse.
So you get in the game. There's horses spread throughout the map. There's actually more horses on the map than there is players.
Okay.
I want to say there's something like 250 horses spread around.
That's a lot of horses.
When you get on a horse, that horse becomes your horse. So if you have a horse skin of any kind that can be enabled, when you get on your horse, the horse will take on the look of your horse. And in addition, that horse will bond to you. It becomes your horse. The horse has an inventory. You can stuff weapons and things in there if you want, or extra supplies. You can actually trade things between players when you're on a horse. If two people can ride a horse, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned that. You can have a rider on the back and on the front, and they can trade inventory items through the horse inventory.
Oh, nice.
And so there's a couple of things that we did with the horses that I think are interesting to try to solve different gameplay problems. One of them is if you think about like old Western cowboy movies, cowboys aren't jumping off their horses and using them as cover, right? It's not really cool to shoot horses or murder horses. It's not a great look, right?
No.
So I really wanted in the game the emphasis to be on, player combat. So there's a few things that we did for that. First is horses have a lot of hit points.
Okay.
You can kill them, but they're tanks. The second thing is if you try to use a horse as cover, it doesn't put up with that. It runs away. So if you
it should.
So if you jump off a horse and the horse takes a bullet, or actually whenever any horse takes a bullet, it will actually just bolt off and run out of the way. And this is really strategic because if you jump off your horse to use it as cover, your horse is probably going to end up bolting away and you're going to have to chase after it. It also means you want to hide your horse somewhere where nobody can shoot it if you're going to hop off and get into combat. There are limitations to what you can do on horses, right? There's no aim down sights like sniping off of horses. So if you want to do that, you have to hop off. You got to put your horse in a secure location. Horses also take damage from jumps and things like that. So they're pretty tough, but you can actually like kind of break your fall off a big cliff once maybe by taking your horse with you. It'll take the hit, take some damage, but then, you know, you can ride on. But if it takes too much more, it'll collapse. And you get some pretty funny moments when horses die when people are riding them because they ragdoll and the person like flies off. And yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of things with the horses. And we also tried really hard to make the animation kind of authentic and to gear the way that you ride the horses to things that you would do in a real horse, right? So real horses have different types of gaits that they do for different, you know, canter versus a trot versus a gallop and all that kind of stuff. And in the game, when you're riding a horse, you basically set the horse throttle, but you set it to like, what is the gait that I want? So, you know, you can like trot around or canter around. And then the all out gallop, there's basically like, give me a good reasonable gallop. And then there's give me your full, everything you've got gallop. And and the speeds the horses move at actually are kind of reflective of those animations, trying to, you know, make it kind of line up and look cool.
Yeah, no, it was quite well done. I've got to get a horse throttle. It's fantastic.
Yeah, like, you know, Thrustmaster horse throttle.
Yeah, exactly. Full speed horse. I like it.
I mean, the idea is that the throttle is meant to be intuitive, right? You hop on the horse, you hit W, that's throttle up. If you hold it, it will just throttle it up. You can almost drive it like by holding S and W if you wanted to, but you don't need to. I want to be able to throttle up and have it ride and then turn around and shoot at guys. And you can 360 kind of just have battles on that. The running horse battles in the game, I think, are one of the real differentiators.
Super fun. It's different and better than any of the other games that I've played that are, you know, sort of the battle royale. I mean, it's just some interesting romance to the Wild West concept. You know, I didn't
expect it to be like you know, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, but it kind of is. Yeah, you know how like when you're carving across, because the higher speed that you're running the horse at, the slower it turns, right? So you might need to slow down so you can do a quick turn or speed up to, you know, avoid something. And as you're leading your shots, because you can kind of see your shots coming out of your rifles and stuff, you're trying to like line up and like shoot the other guy as you're riding your horse. It's pretty visceral.
Challenging.
Yeah.
Can I get an NFT that makes my horse sound like a TIE fighter?
I think Disney might not like that.
They probably wouldn't. Maybe a bow tie fighter, something like that. Okay, guys. Let's see. Take a couple more questions here, and then we'll wrap it up. Can we make the horses look like unicorns? I mean, Disney does not own unicorns.
They don't units, so we could. Yeah.
Okay.
I actually kind of talk about the unicorn thing quite a bit. I'm holding out for a Pegasus, but a unicorn would be cool.
Both good options. Are there going to be different types of groupings, solos, duos, squads?
Yeah. So we currently support all three of those. There's solos, duos with 2 people, and squads with 4. I personally think squads is the best. Like that's just my preference for playing this kind of game. You get your, you know, the 4 of you on your horses riding across the domain, and it's pretty hard to beat.
No, I like to, when I do play games, I play with my brother-in-law, and one of our friends, and we've got this tight squad of 4. Benefactor hops on there sometimes as well, and we like to play. So we're definitely going to be playing the hell out of this. What are you drinking? TJ Gamer would like to know. What do we got?
Gosling's Diet Ginger Beer, my favorite soda.
There you go, Gosling's Diet Ginger Beer. I have some ginger beer, not diet. Maybe I need to get diet ginger beer. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you, John, so much for joining in. And Sal, sorry you were not able to, there's one other question. Why did you want to make this game? It seems like an important question.
I mean,
deal with that first.
there's kind of a long explanation, but I really like battle royale games. I thought so. You know, this is going back in time a little bit, but basically, I see battle royale as a design technology, right? There's always these problems in the past whenever you're trying to do a multiplayer game of how do you match people into a match? How do you maintain their experience after a match? So we've all had the experience, at least I know I have, of being in, say, a team deathmatch style game where, you know, we're playing to 50 kills or something like that. And the other team is at 37 and we're at 3, and there's no possible way that we could win. And you're just kind of biding your time until the thing is over, right? Like, you have no chance at winning. And you, as a player, like they would stigmatize you if you just leave, right? They're like, oh, you're just a leaver or whatever. Well, battle royale, the technology of that fixes that problem, because what happens is you're playing a game and you are out and you hit matchmake and you go into the next match, and it smooths out the process. It makes everything better. So I'm really enamored with what you could do with battle royale technology.
I love it
from that perspective. And that's also why, you know, there's some affordances in the game for teams to like bring players back or have the underworld, so that people have things to engage in or hope that they can get back in if you're in a squad game. So I really wanted to make a battle royale game. I was really impressed when those games started coming out. And then on the Old West thing, it's just a great setting for a game that I've always wanted to play around in.
It's a great and underappreciated setting for a game.
It is. And, you know, when you talk to people in the industry, I can't tell you how many people were like, you're making an Old West game? Nobody wants to play those. They don't play those in China. And I'm just like, well, that's great. But I actually think there's quite a few people that would want to play an Old West game.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, we're going to make the game anyway. But thanks for your feedback.
Well, awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining us today, John. And thank you to the community for contributing. So check out that node vote going live tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific, I believe is what Sal said. And yeah, we'll catch up with you guys soon.
Yeah, we'll talk more grit.
Indeed. We'll do this again very soon. I look forward to joining all of you in a playtest. So peace, guys.